2 o'clock? Okay, being how it is 2 o'clock, I will call to order the May 18th, 2021 meeting of the Development Waiver Review Committee. At this time, if anyone has any audible devices, if you would please turn those off. I am Ann Littman. I am the Community Development Director, and I am chairman of this committee. And if I will ask all my fellow members to turn on their microphones and introduce themselves, starting with Jason Phillips, our county attorney, who I just introduced.
Thank you, Ann. Jason Phillips, county attorney. I'm not a voting member.
Laurie Ashmore, Director of Paulding Water System.
George Jones, Paulding County Department of Transportation Director.
Bruce Coyle, County Engineer.
Frank Baker, County Administrator.
Thank you. We have 3 agenda items today. Our first is to review minutes from the April 20th, 21 meeting. If everyone has had a chance to look at those, I will take a motion on them.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Mr. Coyle and a second from Ms. Ashmore. Are there any questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? There is none. The minutes are approved unanimously. Our first case today is case number 2021-3-W. It is application by Edison Engineering Group, LLC, requesting a waiver for placement of curb and gutter along Gamel Road for an assignment of standard shoulder and ditch section as approved under zoning case number 2020-8-Z, and a waiver for placement of streetlights along Gamel Road in order to preserve the rural character of the surrounding residential agricultural area. This property is located in land lot 757, District 19, Section 3. Address is 367 Gamel Road and located in Post 2. I will announce that planning staff received one call with questions or concerns, but no opposition. Is the applicant present? Okay, if you'd please approach the podium.
Good afternoon. And I'm the applicant, Chuck Wren with Edison Engineering Group here in Dallas, Georgia, representing the owner of the property, which is Longview Capital, which Jeff Matthews, who's the managing member of that group, is with us as well. So the 2 items that we have asked for, one of them is really a housekeeping item. If you recall, and it was mentioned when the case was read, this was zoned from A1 to R2 suburban residential back in June of 2020, and as part of that zoning, when we had provided the layout, we had not anticipated the placement of curb along Gamel Road. And again, this section that we're asking for a waiver on requires that, per the development regulations, that this section of Gamel would be curb and guttered. So it's a little bit in conflict with what's in the zoning stipulation, which is placement of 8-foot grass shoulder and a 2-foot flat bottom ditch for stormwater conveyance. And so that is item number 1. As part of this request, the minimum lot size in R2 is 20,000 square feet. We are proposing that all the lots that front on Gamel Road be 1 acre in size, and then the balance of the lots that will be behind those 9 lots will be I think one acre plus. There's a couple of them that may be 1.4, 1.3, but then the balance of those are greater than 2 in compliance with the development regulations. The second item that we've asked for, this one's kind of one that snuck up on us from a street light perspective. Typically you see street lights in subdivisions where you have a street that is constructed as part of a subdivision. This one is directly off of Gamel Road, and we just felt like having that many street lights on the frontage would just kind of deter from the rural nature, and have asked for a waiver of the street light ordinance. This would not necessarily prevent a homeowner from contracting with a power utility to have a light on the pole that's servicing the house, but again, this is just looking at a waiver of the development regulation itself. So that, in a nutshell, is what we're asking for today. If you have any questions, we'll we'll try to address them as we can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I would ask if there is anyone who would like to speak on behalf of this application, who would like to come up to the podium. Yes, ma'am. Sure. Do you want to speak on behalf of application, or do you have questions, comments, or concerns?
I have a question for me.
Please come up to if you please come up to the podium, and I'll go ahead and ask if there was anyone who would like to express opposition with questions, concerns regarding the application. If you'd please state your name and direct all comments to me.
I am Marion Osborne. I am 299 Gamel Road. So I am all that you see on the left side of that property on both sides of the road. We own on both sides also. So we are butted up to this property. So I want to know if there's going to be any water brought down, because we're all I'm well water. So how is this supposed to be done? Are they going to bring water all the way down Gamel Road? Are they going to widen Gamel Road? Because we can only go one car at a time. You have to pull over in the ditch to pass a car. And they're going to put these houses, that means many, many, many more cars, school buses. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say you got to pull over into the ditch to pass another oncoming car.
Okay, do you have any other questions?
No, I just
Okay.
need to know about the,
Okay.
all that and the water.
Okay. If you'll have a seat, I've
Okay.
got your questions noted down, and we'll either have staff or the applicant give answers to those. Is there anyone else who would like to express opposition or has questions, concerns? If so, please come up. Leah, is there a sheet up there? Okay, please, if you'd sign your name to the sheet and then state your name and address all comments to me.
Good morning. My name's Julie Nunn, and I also live on Gamel Road. My mother lives at the end of Gamel Road. I live at the top end. In some spots, Mary Ann's correct, in some spots, our street's only 16 feet wide. And when it was paved, there was sharp ditches cut off to the sides. And when we only have probably, how many, Mary Ann? 7 or 8 houses on there now, on our street? And it's about 3/4 of a mile long, maybe quarter mile, I'm not sure. And we're gonna have 8 houses at the top that has already been planned for. 16 down there. Our traffic is gonna be substantial now. There's gonna be school buses, garbage trucks. We can't pass. We all have to pull over. You're lucky if there's a driveway to pull over in when you have to pass a car. There's a sharp curve at the top. We had mentioned that last time. That is about a 90-degree turn. But now they have built a house there in the corner. I'm not sure if anything could be done about that, but we've already had some neighbors to clip mirrors on that curve. The safety is mainly the issue for me, safety. The other end of the street, it comes out at Hogue. It's hard to see both ways from there, but how narrow the street is and the sharp ditches, that's what I'm mostly concerned about, is the safety of our children that'll be getting on school buses and the neighborhood. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in opposition or has questions, concerns regarding this application? Okay, sir, please come up to the podium, sign in, and state your name.
Sign in here, on this sheet here.
Yes.
My name's Jason Callahan. I live at 99 Gamel Road. I've been there for 28 years. I have a couple of questions, but I just want to make it known that I moved there 28 years ago because I didn't want to move into a subdivision. Okay, I got out there, it was rural. Things have changed, we've accommodated to it against our wishes. But it's coming more and more and more. Subdivisions are popping up all around us. I didn't want to move into a subdivision, but unfortunately, the subdivisions are coming to me. Not happy about it, but there's not a lot that I can do. Take care of my property and where I live. My biggest concern when all this began was, as Ms. Nunn mentioned, the roadway. It is very narrow. They voted to widen the road before all these homes was called to be put in, and land got sold, and investors decided they want to make money, and we voted it down back then. It's a rural road, only a few houses on that road, but we made it work. So we didn't want the road any wider. We already have enough traffic on that road, not only the houses that are on there, but just people that are cutting through. I can only imagine what 16 plus more houses is going to do to the traffic on that road. It is going to be a safety issue. I'm not all for widening the road. I'll just be honest with you. I've always been against it. There's been some back and forth on if they did intend to widen the road, the full length of the road. What's that going to entail? We've been given different stories on the right-of-way, what side was had right-of-way to it, both sides, how many feet. We've been told 2 or 3 different stories on that, so we don't know. Nobody has set that in stone. I've also heard that there's some of the homes that's been there for years and years and years, and mine being one of them, had grandfathered in that we own all the way to the road. I don't know if that's true or not either, but I would like to find that out because, whatever the case may be, if they decide to come in and widen the road, and they're going to put the houses in, I'm sure that's going to happen. What are they going to do about that? Some of the people in the neighborhood have kind of thrown in some suggestions about where the property is. It's going to be, where the houses are going in, maybe doing something on one end of the road and not the other, maybe blocking off the road or, having a one-way in and out and not affecting the other homes that are on the other end, on the north end of Gamel Road. And again, like Ms. Nunn mentioned, there is a real bad curve. It's a 90-degree curve there that we was told could have been something done to that a while back, but they've now put a house in that curve across the street from me. So don't know if anything can be done there, but that's my concerns. Some of many that I hadn't mentioned of my concerns. I did want to clarify with a question as far as the waterway and the street lights. So the waterway is going in. Is that just in that particular area where the houses are, the land that's sold? Or is that along the whole, from one end of Gamel Road to the other? And same question for the street lights. It's not, my question is the street light's going to be going all the way down? Or if I heard this gentleman correctly, they're asking to waive the street lights to keep the rural agricultural aspect. And personally, I don't want street lights.
Okay, that is one of the requests the applicant has, is to waive the streetlight
Well,
requirements.
I'm in agreement to that,
Okay.
because that was one of my concerns. They've
Okay.
put up road signs and enough power poles and street lights. It looks horrible down that road now.
Okay, and let me ask for clarification. You said waterway. Do you mean a water line with
Well,
drinking water instead
well,
of well?
that as well as I was under the impression y'all was gonna put in sidewalks and some way to, drain the water off in that area.
Okay,
I don't know.
okay, thank
So
you.
that's my questions.
Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition or has questions or concerns? Okay, if not, I think I'll ask the applicant to come back and I will go over the questions, and I believe some of our staff up here might be better able to ask those questions. But let me just go through the questions. Seems what we'll just start with, is a water line gonna be installed on a portion or all the way of Gamel Road?
The water line will be installed there's a subdivision, I believe the name of the subdivision is McClendon Creek, and there is I believe a 10-inch line that terminates there, and that line will be extended down Hogue Road, and then it will come up Gamel Road from Hogue up to the end of our project limits, which will be that north end. So it'll end typically we'll end that with a hydrant valve and 2 joints of pipe, and So if the county wants to extend that any further, they have the opportunity to do that. So water is part of the project.
Okay, well, while we're talking about water, Lori, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, except for the, thank you. Except to say that if there are others on the if there, the people existing along the road want water extended, we do have a petition process for having water extended the remainder of the way.
Okay, next question, is the road going to be widened?
So,
That's a combination of you.
so two things on the road. One was the right-of-way. I know along our frontage, we've got a 40-foot right-of-way, and as part of the zoning process, we are going to be providing additional right-of-way to get it up to 60 feet. So there's an additional 20-foot that will be added. Those road improvements to take it to 22 foot by code takes it from the first non-substandard street, which would be down to Hogue. So it would be along that frontage from Hogue Road all the way back up to that northern portion of the tract would be the widening. And that has to be widened out to 22 feet to get it to a standard width.
Okay. Mark, could you come zoom out our map so that maybe we could see Hogue Road? I know we were kind of zoomed in on the property in question, but I think it might be useful. It'd be useful to me to see where.
Right here.
Yeah, this piece. There you go.
So Hogue is down at the
Yeah, where the cursor is.
and then that's Mulberry Rock, and so that's the sharp curve that was mentioned several times. So the road will be widened from Hogue to the applicant's property, or the current owner's property line,
That is correct.
on one side of the road.
That is correct.
George, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I'd like to, I guess, answer some of the questions regarding, right-of-way. People would have to look on their deeds and plats on that, but it varies through there, so there's not really a story per se. It depends on each individual property. Looking at different deeds and plats, we have 40-foot right-of-way, we have 30-foot deeded, we've got 30-foot by plat. It just varies based on your location, but that can be looked at per property. We have also asked the developer to contribute $500 per lot towards roadway improvements on this roadway. So if we can get property owners to work with us to provide extra right-of-way to widen these roads to a 22-foot road section, especially particularly north, going towards 101, that funds we put towards that. These street lights themselves, they would only be required on that property where the subdivision is. It would not be required along the whole length of Gamel Road. And again, this road, I think, can't remember when it was paved last. It may have been somewhere in the 2011, 2012, 2013 time period. And at that time, our right-of-way department had reached out to property owners along the roadway, asking if they'd be interested in providing right-of-way, and the vast majority of them were not at the time. They just wanted the road left the width as is. So that's kind of the where it's been at since that point. I remember in the June zoning meeting last year, had discussions with various property owners along there who expressed they would be more willing to look at it now with this subdivision. And again, we have our right-of-way folks are going to be probably mailing out letters right now at this point, basically gauging interest in terms of providing right-of-way on Hogue.
I think that gets everything. There was a comment about sharp ditches.
Obviously, when it comes to a road, you want a shoulder, then you want ditches too. So typically you need a 60-foot right-of-way to accommodate a good road, shoulder, and ditches. So that takes away the sharpness of the ditch. You can have more of a swale ditch. So that's why we typically go for a 60-foot right-of-way on rural shoulder roadways. You might be able to fit it in tighter than that, but again, 60 is a pretty good overall width that works at most locations.
And there was several comments about the sharp curve, but since the sharp curve in the road up at the top is not adjacent to this applicant's, there won't be any change to the curve right now, correct?
That's correct. Obviously, that curve, it does not meet a standard alignment. However, there are different techniques you can use to improve passability through those areas, such as curve widenings, et cetera. So that's something that can be investigated. Again, it depends on the amount of property that we can get to basically make these techniques work.
Okay, are there any questions by any other members of the board or council?
Ms. Lipman, if I can just add, just so everybody has clarity here today. This is a meeting of the Development Waiver Review Committee. So there are two issues here for this committee to vote on today. One is whether or not a development regulation regarding streetlights is going to be waived or varied from. The other is what the scope of curb and gutter is going to be. Uses and other issues beyond that, those are not before this board today. But I do appreciate and understand while, if I was in my own house and I saw a sign next door saying there's going to be a hearing and I had some questions, I would go there and probably ask those questions. And I think staff's been very amenable to allow for a free flow of information as to what we know regarding the project. But just to be clear, for purposes here today, it's the request for a waiver or variance from two particular development regs, neither of which have to do with traffic counts or curvature or things like that. Those are certainly important points of information, but as the attorney, I've got to just say that some things are irrelevant for what the board has to take under consideration for today. The zoning has actually occurred, so the permissible uses have been determined by the Planning Commission and the Board of Commissioners already. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions?
Are we going to consider two motions?
Yes, I was going to. Okay, thank you. If no one has any questions, I think it would be best to take these requests separately. So for the first request, which is waiver for placement of curb and gutter along Gamel Road, is there anyone who would like to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the first request from Mr. Jones. Do I have a second?
Second.
And there is a second from Mr. Coyle. Are there any questions? If not, all those in favor of the motion to approve the waiver of the placement of curb and gutter signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion to waive the placement of curb and gutter along Gamel Road is approved unanimously. The second question is a waiver for placement of streetlights along Gamel Road. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Mr. Jones and a second from Ms. Ashmore to approve waiver of the placement of streetlights along Gamel Road. Are there any questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion to waive the streetlights is approved unanimously. Thank you very much. While we Our second case today is case 2021-4-W. It is application by Southeastern Engineering, Inc., Nathan Adrian, requesting a waiver for the exclusion of a left turn and right turn lane at the subject property. Property is located in land lots 391 and 392, District 1, Section 3, south of Georgian Parkway and west of Townsend Road, located in Post 2. See, we have an applicant present. If you would like to make your application, please start.
Good afternoon, Nathan Adrian with Southeastern Engineering on behalf of D.R. Horton. So this particular section is called Pod B within the Georgian development, and D.R. Horton is looking to place a temporary sales building on the property to help with support their sales team on the rest of the development within the Georgian. So we're looking to seek relief from the requirement for a left turn lane and a deceleration lane going into, which is we're guessing about a 30 or so operations a day in and out of the sales building. And we don't think that that's particularly warranted to have all that infrastructure along Georgian Parkway. And we're also thinking that in order to install the deceleration lane and the turn lane, that we're probably gonna have to modify the culverts along those two creeks that are along there. It's kind of a hardship to, to further impacts for the creeks that are in there. So that's what we're kind of looking at right now.
On the map that we have up there, I don't know if the cursor's up there, could you kind of indicate exactly where you're wanting to place the building?
So the building's gonna be set right off of the parkway right here, maybe, I think it's 10 or 20 feet from the right of way.
Okay,
And then the two creeks are kind of running along right here and then right along there. So those, the deceleration lane and the turn lane would probably be impacting those, but they got like a extension of the culvert along there, most likely.
okay, thank you. At this time, you can have a seat for a second, quick second. Is there anyone who would like to speak on behalf of this application? Is there anyone who would like to speak wishing to express opposition or with questions or concerns? If not, I will open questions from the board members at the present time, if you'd like to come back up.
Was there any communication back to your office in reference to this?
We did have one call with questions and concerns, but no opposition.
Okay, thank you.
This temporary turn lane, is it gonna be built, with proper radiuses that'll be left over when there is a street and lots down in there?
Yeah, we're thinking it's just gonna be a curb cut right now with the standard radiuses coming out there. This particular section I know was slated for residential part of the development, and I think that they're kind of abandoning that idea of building this out at this particular time just because of the topography on the site and the creeks and ecology and all that stuff. So they're looking at just putting the sales center there for probably 5 to 10 years, something like that, and then after that time it'll be removed. So if it does get built out, most likely that entrance will probably have to be in a different location.
Will it be future commercial?
No, it's residential.
I'm assuming you have other sales offices probably in the Atlanta area. Did you look at any of those offices regarding trip generation?
This is our traffic engineer. Talking about that.
Good afternoon. My name is Daniel Pino with SEI. We received their sales numbers for the last 4 quarters. None of them topped past, I believe, 35. As far as trip generation, we ended up considering it close to to kind of overestimate a 2,000 square foot shopping center for the land use of it. At that point, it brought in, I believe, 76 daily trips. So 38 coming in, 38 coming out. So very minimal.
So you didn't look at actual trip generation for any of
From
that?
what they previously had, no.
Okay.
I'm sorry, George.
Go ahead, Frank.
So I just want to clarify, because I heard you say, just want to clarify this for my fellow board members.
Yep.
You're estimating the sunset on that would be 5 to 10 years?
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
So this hasn't gone presented before the county yet in terms of your design, looking at it, site distances, approvals, et cetera?
Yeah, we have gone in for a land disturbance permit for the building.
Okay.
And this is one of the comments that came back was for turn lanes for it.
Do you anticipate meeting all your site distance requirements at this location?
We do, yes.
Looking at it, I talked with some of the fellow board members, I think we would like to put a sunset time period on this, where if it went past a certain date, we would like this to have this come before the Waiver Review Committee for renewal. Would that be okay?
I think that's fine. Do you know how long that would be? Is that 10 years, or is it shorter period, or?
So you're saying 5 to 10, are you leaning more to 5, 10, or middle?
I think it's more towards 10,
Yeah.
I think is the.
I believe the
yeah,
number was 8 to 10 years.
8 to 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the total build out of the Georgian, so it's all the way up past the Frog Golf Course, north to Mulberry Rock Road and all that through there. So I think it's like 800 or so homes.
Yeah, by my count, it looks like there's a little over 1,500 lots approved in there, and by my count, only 525 permits have been issued as of now, so we have about 1,000 more lots to go, so.
Okay. I think the board, hopefully this committee would be okay with a 10-year.
I think that's fine.
Okay, and then I think Bruce had also talked about probably an improved radius turning right onto the property. Did you look at a right bypass lane criteria for this location?
We did not.
Okay.
Is this office a trailer, or is this office gonna be?
It's gonna be a little bit larger than a trailer, but they're gonna have landscaping and some other nice things outside to make it look presentable along there. Yeah, it'll, yeah. And then the parking lot will be asphalt and there'll be curb along there, and they have ample parking spaces along there too, so.
Have they resolved the mail kiosk issue?
I'm not aware of a mail kiosk issue.
I guess I have a little concern based on the growth of traffic in the area in terms of disallowing this. My thought is to probably put a condition on this. If there is a certain number of rear-end crashes, that a right bypass lane would at least be constructed at developer's cost. Would that be something?
I think that would be agreeable, yeah.
Anybody else on the board have any questions? Okay, thank you. There is only one item under consideration right now, so I'll ask if anyone has a motion on the request for waiver for the exclusion of a left turn and right turn lane at the subject property.
Yes to the motion. Could I put a condition in there like we talked about?
Certainly.
Yeah. A condition, if there are 3 or more rear-end crashes in a 12-month period, the county reserves the option to require the developer to install a right bypass lane.
Did you want a sunset provision too, or do you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
10 years.
I'd say.
Okay.
Let's see, just for clarification, when is the sun set? What's the time period?
10 years.
With a stipulation of 3 or more crashes, right turn lane be installed.
Right
and-
bypass.
Right bypass, excuse me. And in addition to that, a 10-year sunset on the project.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Jones to approve with 2 conditions. Do I have a second? Second, we have a second from Mr. Coyle. Are there any questions? If not, I will ask all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? There are none. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. That is our last agenda item today, so I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Ms. Ashmore and a second from Mr. Baker to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.